Dudes, it is King Jim Bob here. I'm a new YouTuber, so yeah, just be nice. I'm a new YouTuber. Anyway, so I'm just doing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. I'm just doing a Dark Magician deck. This would be a good deck for you beginners who are just starting out in the game, want to get your feet wet. So let's just get right into it. So starting off with the star of a Dark Magician deck, you got Dark Magician. I run 3 of these. He's the star of the deck. He's your main focus. So you want to get him on the field as many times as possible. So just set that there. The next thing that can help you actually get Dark Magician on the field is Paladin Oracle Mahad. So this card's it's a good card because when you draw it, you can show it to your opponent from your hand and just summon it. Boom, done. And then when it's destroyed, hey, you get to summon a Dark Magician. So it's a good card. Next on our list, we have Magician Navigation, which this is one of those really good trap cards where you get to summon monsters and it doesn't cost anything. Plus, when this card's in your graveyard, you can banish it. Then, when your opponent activates a spell card, you can destroy it. And also, when you activate it, you can summon a Dark Magician and maybe another Dark Magician if you want. Or you can use any others. So there's that one. Next, we have Dark Magician Girl. Yeah. I run just one of her. That's really all I need. So, she's good to have in there, but I'd only recommend playing one of her. Next, what we have on our list is Magician's Rod. Now, Magician's Rod is possibly one of my favorite cards in this deck. Because when you summon it in a normal way, you get to add a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that lists Dark Magician. So that can be like Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle, which those are really good cards for Dark Magician. And then, during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap card, you can tribute a spellcaster and add that back to your hand. And then your next turn, you get a spell card or a trap card. So I run 3 of these. I don't understand why you wouldn't run 3 of these, but if you don't run 3 of these, well, and it just works out for you, well, good for you. But I would definitely recommend running 3 Magician's Rod. Next thing I run is first spell card. I run Dark Magical Circle. It's just a really good card because I get 3 cards, and if one of them is Dark Magician or specifically lists Dark Magician, I get to add it to my hand. And then, yeah, when a Dark Magician comes around and is summoned, I get to banish my opponent's stuff. So it's good. That's what this deck is mostly about, is to build yourself up and then and wipe your opponent out. I mean, you summon Dark Magicians, you get all your opponent's powerful cards out of the way and leave them with nothing. So I run 3 of these. I would highly recommend running 3 of these. So next we have one of the key components of this deck, Eternal Soul, which this card is amazing for Dark Magician decks, because, I mean, all your Dark Magician monsters, well, all your Dark Magicians, they are unaffected by spells and traps. And you can special summon a Dark Magician once per turn from your hand or graveyard, or you can add a Dark Magic Attack or 1,000 Knives from your deck to your hand, which this is a really nice card. It's a really good card to use. I would highly recommend running 3 of those. So next we go into some cards that are not quite as key. Some of them are still pretty key, but some of them are not quite as key. So next thing is Mirror Force. I just like playing Mirror Force because that's one of the things I like to do. I just like to protect my monsters. Because that's the thing with this deck. You want to build up your monsters and you want to build up everything. And then you just want to wipe your opponent out. So that's the nice thing about Mirror Force. Your opponent attacks, you can just clear them off the field. I run 3 of these, but you can run 2 of these. You can just run 1. It doesn't really matter. But I would recommend at least running 1. The next thing, I only run 1 of it. And that's 1,000 Knives. It's because I don't really use it that often, but it's nice if you're in a tight situation and you just need to get a monster off the field. Thousand Knives is a good card to use, and you can add that to your hand with Eternal Soul, and then yeah, it's a good card to use in a pinch. But I don't know if it's amazingly useful. Next card is Dark Magic Expanded. This card's okay. Oh yeah, if you hear meowing or fighting in the back, that's just my cats. Yeah, so this one's okay. It's not really my favorite because it gives you a few effects based on how many Dark Magician and Dark Magician girls you have on the field or in the graveyard. And so yeah, one Dark Spellcaster type monster gains 1,000 attack. 2, your opponent cannot activate spell card or activate any cards and effects in response to your spell or trap cards, and your spell or trap cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And Dark Spellcaster type monsters you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So yeah, it's an okay card. I would only recommend running one of these, but. Next card I only run one of. When I was a little bit younger, I used to run 3 of these, but, you know, it's kind of nice, a Summoner Monk, because I can get rid of a spell card that I don't need in order to get some more cards up here for, let's say, if I wanted to summon Decode Talker, or if I wanted Xyz, let's say Utopia or something. This is definitely a good card to use, but I don't recommend running more than one. But you can if you want to. Next is Magician's Robe. It's kind of like Magician's Rod, but I only recommend running one of these. You can discard a spell or trap card, special summon a Dark Magician. If you had it during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap while listed in the graveyard, you can special summon it. But when it's destroyed, it has to be banished. So overall, an okay card, but I only recommend running one. So the next thing is, this goes along with that Dark Magician girl, is the Eye of Timaeus. This is just a card that I can use to summon some extra deck monsters, some extra deck fusion monsters. So it's a good card to have all around. So, but I only recommend having one. So. The next card, you can only have one if you're going and playing in a tournament, and that's Monster Reborn. I mean, come on, it's Monster Reborn. Who doesn't love a free Monster Revive? So, from either player's graveyard, so I mean, it's pretty good. So, yeah. You can only have one, but if you could have 3, I'd definitely put 3 in there. Next is Illusion Magic. You only need 1. You have to get rid of a Spellcaster, but you can add 2 Dark Magicians to your hand. From your deck or graveyard. So you can only do one of these per turn. That's why I only run one. And next, I only run one of these, and that's Dark Hole. So if I'm ever in a pinch and I don't really have good monsters on the field, but my opponent has a lot of good monsters, I can just get rid of their field. And so, yeah, it's good. But I would not recommend running 3 of those. Next, I run 2 Swords of Revealing Light. Those are good cards to help at the beginning of the game, or the beginning of the duel, to help it make it so your opponent can't overpower you. Because some people, they just have such good structured decks that they can just get a bunch of monsters and just overpower you. So this is a good card for that. So the next thing I run, it's like Thousand Knives. I only run one. Goes with Dark Magician. I destroy all spell and trap cards my opponent controls. So it's an okay card, but definitely not one of my favorites. I only recommend running one of those. So next, I run 2 of these, but that's just because Forbidden Lance. If you don't know what this does, target one face-up monster on the field. It loses 800 attack, but it's unaffected by spell and trap cards. So it's a good card if you just need to get a monster out of the way and it's just a little too strong for one of your monsters. Say your opponent uses Blue Eyes and they got a Blue Eyes and you got a Dark Magician, and you just need that Dark Magician to overpower that Blue Eyes, and then you've got the victory. So Forbidden Lance, good card. So next, I only run one of these, but this is just kind of for fun. I run Skilled Dark because I play a lot of spells, so this helps me get Dark Magician faster. And you always need a couple level 4s and lower monsters So I only recommend running one of those, but you can run two. Next, I only run one magic cylinder. It's just, I don't feel like it's amazingly useful, but I feel like it's useful enough. So you can run two or three. I'm kind of looking into using three of those, maybe two. But the next thing I use is Torrential Tribute. This card, so it's good because if you don't have anything on the field and your opponent's just summoning monsters and summoning monsters, when they're done, when you think they're done summoning monsters, you can just put that on them, and then they can't do anything really. So I only run two of these, but that's just because. Anyway, next is Allure of Darkness. I run two of these, but that's only because, sorry the video went out of focus there for a second. Anyway, I only run two of these because I have some dark monsters, but I don't have a whole butt ton of them. So I just run two of these. I would run three if I had more dark monsters. Next, I only run one of these. I only run one Dark Renewal. And that's just because, hey, I got a Dark Magician in the graveyard, and I want to bring it back, and my Eternal Souls have been destroyed, and I just want to clear one of my opponent's monsters out. So, it's a good card. You get rid of one of your weak spellcasters, you get rid of your opponent's one of your opponent's monsters, and hey, you get Dark Magician. So, I only recommend running one of those, or you can run two or three. I run Magician's Valkyria too. You don't have to. I just like to. Because if I've got Rod on the field, or Robe, or even Dark Magician, and I want to keep them alive, I can use my Magician's Valkyria. And you can only target her. And then I can just use some other cards to keep her alive. So, next thing I run is Pot of Duality. You always need cards to draw with. So, it doesn't allow me special summon this turn, but, you know, more cards it's always good. So, I wouldn't recommend running more than two, but you can if you want to. Next, I run Mathematician, because A, it gives me more cards, and B, I can get rid of level 4 monster. So, that's good with Robe and Rod. So, I only recommend running one of those. And then the last two cards in the main deck is a field spell, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So, if your opponent runs Blue Eyes, or they run Red Eyes, they're most likely not going to have but maybe one spellcaster. And so this is a really effective card against it, because this deck is loaded with spellcasters. And so then your opponent can't use spells. So we're done with the main deck, and now let's move on to the extra deck. There are 11 total in all, but you could run just, I'm trying to think. You could run about 6, but I like to run these 11. So first one, I like to run Black Ship of Corn, in case I'm going against somebody who uses weak monsters to build up their strong monsters. I can just clear the field with my Black Ship of Corn. So next, I just run Utopia. I just use Utopia to get rid of my opponent's attacks. Yeah, so. Next, I use Performage, Trapeze, Magician. Yeah. I never take damage if the attack is less than or equal to this card's attack. I can detach an Xyz material during the main phase. Target an attack position monster. It can make a second attack. But it gets destroyed at the end of the battle phase. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by battle, or is destroyed by a card effect, I can special summon a Performage monsters, but I don't have any more Performage monsters. So next I run 2 Ebon Illusion Magicians. I don't think they're as good as Ebon High Magicians, but I can Xyz summon it with a rank 6 Spellcaster Xyz monster, but I don't have any, so I can attach an Xyz material, special summon a Spellcaster, When a spellcaster type monster declares an attack, I can target one card my opponent controls and banish it. So, it's not amazing, but it works. Next, I use Ebb and High. 2 Ebb and High Magicians. I can activate a Quick Play spell or trap card. Well, really any spell or trap card from my hand by detaching Xyz material from this card. If it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card is sent to the graveyard in any way, I can special summon a dark spellcaster type monster from my hand or deck. Then I can destroy one card on the field. So it's a little different than Ebon Illusion, but so then I have Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. I know it goes with a Red Eyes deck, but I like this one. So yeah, so when it has an Xyz material, it can't be destroyed by card effects. Whenever your opponent activates any cards or card effects, then they lose 500 life points. And yeah, the second part of the effect doesn't go well with this because it allows you to summon a Red Eyes monster. But next is Decode Talker, which, I mean, what good duelist doesn't have Decode Talker or something like Decode Talker? This is the only link I have right now. I'm trying to get a few more. But yeah, who doesn't have Decode Talker? So yeah. Now these next two is where the Eye of Timaeus comes to play. So Dark Paladin, Eye of Timaeus pretty much replaces your polymerization. So Dark Paladin is good if your opponent runs a lot of dragons. He's really good because his attack can just keep growing and growing and growing. And you can get rid of spell cards, so it's a good card. And then this is really where the Eye of Timaeus comes in, with the Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. It's got a good amount of attack, and I can get rid of spells and traps, so yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching this video, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get to 10 likes. I mean, literally 10 likes. And I'll jump in a lake, maybe. I don't know. Alright, thank you all for watching.